Hello everyone! I hope that by now you have learned something about the concept we tackled so far. In order to internalize the concept, we would like to welcome all of you to participate in our discussion. We have two guests here today. They are John and Danielle. So, which concept do you think is more suitable for describing the current situation in the world? Transculturality or multiculturality?
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting us both. Regarding the question you raised, I would say transculturality is the only way to successfully deal with cultural diversity.
Let me stop you right there. I think that history has shown over and over that any society embracing transculturality ultimately disintegrates. Look at the Western Roman Empire. The more provincial influences were welcomed into core Roman society, the weaker Rome became, and it was eventually burned down. This idealistic talk of cultures intermingling does not change the fact that it destabilizes healthy societies and leads them to the brink of vanishing.
I think your argument might be a little bit far-fetched there. The reasons for the fall of the Western Roman Empire are indeed much more diverse. But while we are on the subject of empires, I invite you to take a look at the Ottoman state. For over 6 centuries, their state, stretching across both Muslim and Christian territories, manifested numerous transcultural elements, notably in the capital Istanbul. Culinary practices, arts, and of course life experiences were influenced by a multitude of cultures and traditions. A striking example is the Hagia Sophia, a mosque which formerly served as a Christian place of worship.
I thought you'd have used that argument. However, I would still say that the Ottoman lifestyle was rather multicultural. Christians remained Christians and Muslims remained Muslims. If the Ottoman elite had truly been transcultural, it would have had to be a hybrid religion. I think simply sharing the same taste in food is not enough evidence for a cultural merger.
Well, obviously, you two have differing perceptions on the same topic. Maybe we should talk about more recent issues with more concrete accounts and evidence.
Okay, I agree. Well, in this case, I could use the example of the proclamation made by German Chancellor Angela Merkel that multiculturalism in Germany had utterly failed. Indeed, she insisted that cultural groups in Germany should be living with each other instead of next to one another. You say that transculturality brings instability, yet one of the most powerful women on the planet, and indeed many others, strongly disagree with this statement.
Yeah, I agree that we should talk about recent issues. There's one more example that could prove that Merkel, as claimed, is completely wrong. I would say that multiculturality works perfectly well in one of Europe's biggest trading partner, China. You see, there are altogether 56 ethnic groups in China and 5 autonomous regions that are governed by their respective majorities. Some of these regions are fairly isolated from the others. Tibet would be the most well-known case. This system works well in China. The country is stable. Are you convinced yet?
I can't say that I am completely. Indeed, China is a rather tricky case. I don't believe these regions you talked about are completely isolated and have no connection to other regions whatsoever, even with regards to Tibet. Indeed, in this technologically advanced world, I would say there's no true multiculturality without interculturality, because there's no region that is absolutely isolated from the others. Without isolation, there will eventually be transcultural elements appearing even in the most reclusive of societies.
Fair point. To clarify, however, multiculturality may be reluctant to embrace interculturality, but does not reject it entirely. I also disagree that interculturality necessarily leads to transculturality. The member states of the European Union that are part of the Schengen area barely have any physical barrier between them anymore. Yet, a transcultural European identity seems farther away than ever.
You're right, of course, and indeed a true transcultural Europe is far from crystallising. Nevertheless, there is evidence of transculturality all around us, even where we might not really expect to see it. For example, formerly local dairy specialities are being produced far from their places of origin. In 1974, the son of a German and a Spanish immigrant founded the company Garmo with the goal of producing Turkish-style cheese. Garmo went on to become the largest company specialised in Turkish dairy products in Europe, producing primarily in Germany and exporting even to Turkey.
Okay, guys, I think we are getting a little bit carried away here. Let's refocus on real issue, alright? What about Europe? Does the concept work in the level of Europe?
Oh well, I think that transculturality on a European level will never work because national cultures are just too different from each other and people are predominantly smart enough not to be forced on a new identity by a ruling elite. How do you suggest European transculturalism should work?
Well, the cultural diversity of Europe is indeed unquestionable. You may be right that all these cultures can hardly merge together in a transcultural manner. However, a transcultural identity does not need to exclude the existing ones. For example, German philosopher Jürgen Habermas talks about the notion of constitutional patriotism. By this, he means that individuals with different cultural identities can come together on a common understanding and adherence to common political ideas. In Europe, this isn't too far-fetched, as European democracies are already very alike in many ways.
Okay, that actually doesn't sound completely unreasonable. But I still don't understand your obsession with sharing the same cultures. Cultural diversity doesn't need to be a negative force. Beck, for example, talks about cosmopolitanism, where difference is a politically productive force.
Well, I think we've gone through a very long discussion, but time is limited. How about we try to find some common ground here?
Okay, I would say that both concepts are pretty important since they explain different regions in the world. Would you agree with that?
I'm not sure I do exactly. You see, I still believe transculturality is the most suitable term to explain cultural developments.
Fair enough.
All right, this is not going to be over ever. So, well, obviously you two won't agree on this right now. So, what do you think? Which term do you think is the better one for describing the current world? For them, the discussion here is over, but for you, it has just begun. So guys, please leave your comments below. We would love to see what you think of this question.
Thank you.
Bye.